Do you have the same level of passion for tango that you did from the beginning? Like, do you feel like it's grown or has it stayed the same over the years?
My passion for tango.
Yeah, like this idea that you're just going to travel and dance and dance and dance. I mean, I've gone, I had a stretch this year of going to 4 events back to back. And when I say back to back, it was like 2 weeks, right? 2-week turnaround. And after the 4th one, I came back home and I was like, holy crap. Like, I am exhausted. I'm exhausted mentally. I'm exhausted emotionally just from engaging with so many people. And I went into like a complete seclusion period where I was like, I don't want to dance very much. I want to like just kind of chill. So to me, it comes in these waves where I really want to do it for a little bit and then I want to go back. But you really seem to have just gone on and on and on. And I'm curious, is it because like it always feels amazing and you just don't tire of it, or like how is it? How do you feel about it?
Good question. I also enjoy the things around it as I shape my day, for example, for a day of dancing, all day dancing, or just going to a milonga at night. Whatever I'm looking forward to, that also adds to the fun. So it makes the other things also fun because they have an order to look up to the dancing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Even like getting ready for it beforehand. Maybe it's more exciting. Like stretching for it or exercising or planning when to eat just because you want to catch an event in a certain time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like an organizing principle in your life.
It's like shapes the whole thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Really nice.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I can say that. I mean, I feel like it is an organizing principle in my life. I'm just more of, I guess maybe it's like if we were animals, I would be more of like a sloth and you're more of like a land mammal, where you're like more active. Because to me, I don't know, even with as much love for tango as I have, I do feel like there's times where I really want to be in it and I kind of want to pull out, almost like my system needs a reset of some kind. So in this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit more on this idea of you experiencing so many types of dancers as you travel. I imagine that you come across all levels, all kind of types of dancers, all styles, just because you dance so much. And I'm curious whether there's like a better or worse, what you enjoy more or less about certain dancers. Because I think a lot of people want to know what dancers like you really want. You're like a really desirable dancer, I think. Any place I go to, any milonga that I'm in, every woman wants to dance with you, right? It's like, I feel like you have this combination of ease and creativity in your dance. And you're also very generous. Like you're just kind of a generous social dancer. You don't necessarily discriminate the way I feel like a lot of dancers end up discriminating. They kind of go for a particular type. You just enjoy a variety of dancers, right? So I'm curious for you, what is it like in terms of, what is your preference? What is it that you're after when you're looking to dance with someone when it comes to their technique or their musicality? What do you value more? Is it, something more about their technical prowess, or is it more about how they end up playing with musicality? Is it something else?
Wow, that's a very deep question. First of all, before we get to that big mountain, thanks so much for all the kind words. I appreciate that. I mean, as lovely all the ladies are, that they're so nice that they dance with me. I think I'm like anyone else. There's some people that they enjoy dancing with me. There's certainly some people that they don't enjoy dancing with me. So I think that's quite kind of fair. But back to your question, I mean, I think that's the golden kind of answer. What is it that we want in tango? Like what? I think we talked about this before multiple times, that people come into tango for different aspects of it, and there are different aspects, from little details, from psychological to physical to anything that we can expand it to. And I think pretty much anybody can pursue whatever they want as long as they respect other people. Of course, it's fine. So for me, I enjoy social dancing a lot. I really enjoy to be able to dance with anybody, with any sort of background, any sort of skill, any size, any shape, I like the variety. I really enjoy being able to create different feelings, connect to different ideas. I mean, of course, we can go into this a lot deeper, right? We can start thinking about, okay, like, what is a connection mean? Like, if somebody's dancing with someone else and they think, oh, we had a great connection, what does that mean? Is that connection is the way you held each other? Is that the connection the way you could communicate on the music with each other? Is that the playfulness? Is that the coziness?
What is it for you? How do you describe it to yourself?
So again, I like that idea. What is it? So what can I define it at different times, right? At different times, you might want different sort of connection. So I guess that also reflects back in when a certain song gets played, even though it's a song that we like. Sometimes we enjoy dancing it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we might enjoy dancing with certain people, but not necessarily with certain other people that we still enjoy dancing with.
Right.
It's like such a complicated mesh. So I think that's it. It's like,
and you're kind of pointing to the fact that there's no stable self that is feeling a certain way, that we ourselves change so much, right? Like depending on what night we go to the milonga and how we feel that day, what we ate, how we slept.
Totally.
All of those things change how we perceive things.
What liqueurs we consumed.
Right. And I've noticed this about myself, where I'll go to the milonga and I'll just be like, everything is fine around me, like everything checks out. It's great music, great people, great vibe, but like I'm not having a good time. It doesn't matter what's thrown at me. It doesn't matter that I'll be dancing with somebody who I really love dancing with all the time, right? And it'll be like nothing, right? And then it'll be the complete opposite, where I go and everything around me might be shitty, but because I am in a different state of mind, then what I experience is different.
Absolutely.
So it's true that there is all that variability. And I guess I'm curious if you've had any observations about yourself, because you've been living this nomadic lifestyle and you've been dancing in different communities. Have you made any observations about what it feels like to dance in certain places versus others, whether certain places you're like, I really prefer this place because of the specific thing that's relevant to that place? Or has it all been like equally amazing no matter where you go?
I would say the last one, for sure. It's equally amazing wherever you go, because people are amazing. They are just different experiences. It's very difficult to really choose between your favorite flavors of ice cream. Everywhere experiences are kind of unique, and they worth. But but I really enjoyed what you mentioned about the times that you might go out and whatever the night is, we might not just have a good night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like depending on our mood, our expectations, and whatever else that is going on around it. You pointed out what we ate.
Right, right.
So I try to pay attention to that a lot to see what happens that sometimes I want to dance and sometimes I don't want to dance. Sometimes I'm having a good night. Sometimes I'm dancing and I'm thinking I'm dancing the whole night, but I'm feeling it's just the night is not right. Like
so you do have those nights.
Of course. I mean, I'm a human being.
But those are themselves interesting to you, you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have a lot more control over those states of mind than we think we do. We can actually re-change the frame. And
Rechange the frame. I like that.
Yes, we can kind of recompose the frame. So, yeah.
Tell me a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
So I was thinking about this idea about, again, what we talked earlier, connection. What is connection? Mm-hmm. And what is, if we define what is connection, then what is not connection, right? What is not feeling good? Mm-hmm. If something's feeling good, then what is it that doesn't feel good? Mm-hmm. And of course, focusing on that, you can say if it's such a subjective experience, then there must be things that we think they are not good, that it can actually be good. If you think about them, it can actually.
I see.
Right? So basically, if you're thinking that you're not enjoying a dance because of a certain thing, that might actually be something to switch and start enjoying whatever is happening. And it kind of applies to the rest of life. But
so let me clarify. When you say that, because I'm sure when people are listening to this, they're like, oh my God, that's so abstract. Because there must be some correlation between what you're saying and what I'm envisioning. An experience that I've had is that, like, I take the embrace with someone and the song that's playing, I hate it. I hate this song. I'm like, oh my God, everything in me is just revolting against this song. And then I'm thinking, oh, this Tanda is going to be terrible. And it's going to be 12 minutes with this person. And it's so painful. I just hate it, right? There's all this emotion, right? And sometimes I can pull back a moment and say to myself, what if I just pretended I liked this song? What if I acted like I become a character in a cartoon inside my mind that likes this song? What would that look like? If this character loved the song, what would they do to dance this song, to show this song? And more often than not, that switch will just open up a pathway for me to find something in that dance that actually changes it. And then I actually end up enjoying the Tanda. It like switches my experience. So are you referring to something like that? Would that be an example of something that you're describing?
Absolutely. So here's an interesting thing to think about. Imagine you want to dance with someone, right? Mm-hmm. I imagine I want to dance with someone. If I get to dance with that person, that's going to be an amazing dance. It does not matter how the dance is going to be.
Really? You've never had this experience where you're like, you really want to dance with somebody and then you dance with them and you're disappointed?
Absolutely, I have. but again, back to what I said, you can change the frame because okay. I wanted to dance with that person. And if I had an expectation of how would that dance go, then I didn't really want to dance with that person. I wanted to dance with that idea that I had, that I wanted to dance with. So, in fact, if I got to dance with that person, I should be enjoying that dance.
So you're saying, like, you set out to dance with them and you do get that. Yeah. Now you get to enjoy the having of the thing you set out to get.
Basically, if I'm not enjoying that, it's my problem because I already wanted something and I'm now not enjoying it. Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I think that's such an interesting viewpoint. That's very simple and it makes so much sense. But I'm sure in the moment, there's a lot of people, and myself included, who will sometimes judge what we wanted, right? Because we're not enjoying ourselves. So it's like, oh, I want to dance with that person. And then I'm dancing with them and I'm not enjoying it. And it's very easy to then say, damn it, I'm really bad at choosing people. Right? It's really easy to just be like, my radar is so off, right? That's really easy to go there. And then that creates a belief in the future that you might actually say to yourself, like, oh, I'm not a good judge of whether I should go for something I want. And what if I go for this thing I want, but then I don't enjoy it? And then, people kind of get paralyzed in this way. So I think it's very poignant that you're pointing out that the key moment, right, is that you have to remind yourself that you're getting what you wanted. And this is now a separate thing, separate piece of data, that you don't enjoy this person. And I have to say to myself, like, okay, well, you now know this. You now know that you don't like dancing with this person. Moving on, right? Like, next dance. Next thing, right?
After the dance.
Right, like after you're done, like sometimes I'll end up in a dance that I thought I was going to enjoy, but I don't. Yeah. I actually had one of those during the marathon over the weekend. And it was interesting because it was a gentleman I had danced with the year before, and I had such a wonderful time with him. And then I ended up seeing him at this event, and in my mind I was like, oh, I must dance with him. And I told him so, right? So then he capaceos me, and we danced, and it was so painful. It was so bad. And it was so disappointing. I was like, what? How did I even think that this was good? And I think he was aware of something, because he even said, like, oh, I'm rusty. And I thought, I guess I just learned that we can get rusty, because I didn't realize, maybe it's true that it's just he hasn't danced in a while. And, it just, like, I don't know what it is. Maybe the first time we danced, it was a better orchestra, or he was more warmed up, or whatever it was. My experience with him was very different. And, I just kind of had to deal with that and not attach any meaning to that, because it's really easy to just be like, oh my God, this person's not as good as I thought. Yeah. And what was I thinking when I decided that they were really good, when I felt that connection. Yeah. But that's kind of the experience that I've had a lot. Have you had that where you have a really great connection with someone, and then you dance with them again and it like is completely different and you don't enjoy it at all?
It rarely can happen. Yes, of course. But yeah, that's the nature of it. I mean, sometimes there are those chances that, unfortunately, after a couple of times, things might slow down, and of course, it will change through time. They will dance differently. You'll dance differently, and then there will be reconnection. And then, I think the main thing for me is, again, the variety. So I want to keep the variety. I like to explore the different styles. And it's very rare that I stop enjoying dancing with someone. But of course, it can happen. Unfortunately, whatever hard we try, sometimes there are those misconnections. They happen. It's the process. Yeah. We want to minimize it, but
what helps you to minimize it?
Same things that we were talking. Knowing what you want, enjoy it when you have it. I really like that concept. I want to say it one more time. If I want to dance with you, and if I get to dance with you, that will be an amazing dance. Like, seriously, there shouldn't be anything else that so, I mean, of course, there are people that we don't know, and we choose them with limited information that we have. Sometimes it's the look, or it's the comment, or it's a sparkle in the eye, whatever it can be. And we get disappointed, and that's okay. that happens. But that is like, I don't know, 2 in 1,000 cabecero.
Wow.
Right? I mean, what is the percentage of people that do cabecero that there are people you never know, and they have the risk of something terribly put you off? Let's say like body odor, right? It's very rare. Like out of 1,000 cabecero, probably 2 people would be eligible for that.
Does that also have to do with the fact that you're so tall? Because people are shorter than you, so you might not even know whether they smell bad or not. Because I think sometimes for women or for followers, maybe it's a different story. It's like much more common to be bothered by something extraneous or superficial like that, and women feel
absolutely
kind of bad about feeling that way. They feel shallow, they judge themselves.
Absolutely.
But it's pretty disruptive. Like there was at the event, there was a gentleman that said hello to me, he's a fine dancer, and I really like him as a person, but he's a little bit taller than me. And he said hello to me, and I just had this whiff of his breath, and it was just the worst breath ever, And I immediately was like, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna dance at all. Like that's a deal. I cannot.
Absolutely.
Like I can't.
I hear you. Yeah.
And a lot of people are like that. Maybe they're, I actually, shared that experience of sweating. Like the guy that I was dancing with sweated so much that I felt his sweat drip onto my clothing. Like I felt the drops on my leg through my pants, and to me, that's like a very, a big turnoff. And like, I'm not enjoying myself as I do that. But that's really because this person I'm dancing with, he's bigger than me. He's taller. He is much more in front. And I think like for you, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3.5".
Yeah, you're almost 6'4". Everybody you're going to be dancing with is, they're slightly below you. So you don't necessarily have to deal with as many physical things. I feel like you're using your height really well to your advantage. Because I think for tall people, it's like, it's really easy for your frame to move another person. Like it doesn't take very much effort because you have a lot of mass. You have a lot of mass. So all you got to do is just gently move yourself, and the other person goes, right? It doesn't require very much. The difficulty with tall leaders for me a lot of times is the sort of either ignorance about that fact that they are so tall and so big. So some tall dancers, they take very big steps because they think like that's their dance. They don't realize that for every one of their steps, I have to take 2, to make it work with my body. So tall dancers a lot of times have this, power, right? It's like a double-edged sword. You're really easy to impose your presence, right? Like you can really make somebody move, but you can also overdo it really easily. And I think you have a great balance between sort of this ease and grace in your movement, and you don't sacrifice your posture, which I think is such a common thing I see for really tall dancers. If you're dancing with somebody shorter, this desire to, to bring your head forward and connect.
That's right.
But you really, you hold your posture in a natural way, which makes it really, really good. So I feel like you have a lot of advantages as a leader. Absolutely. Also, you're a leader, you're really tall. And that's going to lend itself to having a really good time.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you in this part. And I wanted to actually mention this, that followers usually have a slightly less chance of kind of negotiating the dance. So their experience might be worse. And basically, if a leader wants to dance with a follower, he should be able, or she should be able to enjoy that dance, because they're providing the leading, the timing. But followers, because they're kind of bound to the leader,
right,
they might have less chance of feedback. So yeah, they might have kind of as you said, less desirable experience, as the example you mentioned. So, but I wanted to add this here. So I was talking about if I want to dance with you. If I don't know you and I'm a follower and you're a guy and I'm seeing like maybe you're slightly sweaty, like I don't know, maybe I mean you look nice on the dance floor, but I don't know if I will enjoy this. Like I would want to give it a chance, and I think this is the right time, right? Like yeah, I want to dance with you, but I'm not sure. So it's like it's not that I already know. So there's so many blind spots that we're filling in with beautiful things, like oh, it's gonna work, it's gonna be fine.
So you're saying like we're making they're sweaty, I don't really want to dance with them, but I'm going to give them a chance.
Or I mean, sweaty is like not basically because you don't know them. As we said, they might have a bad breath, and they might start sweating on you.
Right.
So there are parts that you don't know. There are things that you don't know for that decision of yeah, I really want to dance with this person. But it's not I really want to dance. It's like I would like to dance with this person, right? So it is basically, I guess here we can connect this to that conversation we had at the Cabaseo is the dance. Basically, what you want and what you get is kind of what you want, and what you would be desired for is kind of the match.
Like you're looking for that match between
right
what you're desiring to give, what you're capable of giving, and what the other person is willing to give. Right.
And if you have experienced that before, it's easier for you to know if you want that dance with that person.
Yeah. I think I talked about this in another episode about this idea that there's an intuition that kind of develops as part of the dancing process, right? You go out dancing over and over again every night or several times a week, and you end up getting a sense that helps you guess more correctly more often whether something's going to work or not.
I call it as you learn how to have fun.
You learn how to have fun. Yeah, actually, that's true, because a lot of times what the big reveal is that I tell people when I talk to them about like what it really takes to have a good time at a milonga is that it's a process of curation. You have to curate your experience, because if you go in without any sort of sense of what you want, what you're looking to get out of the night, and you just go in with this anticipation that somehow you'll just be rescued from your bad mood, and dancers are going to come to you and take you out of the place that you're in and give you something that you're lacking, which I went to the milonga in that state a lot.
Which can work.
It can. It absolutely can. Sometimes you go and you do get that medicine. It's like you're in a bad mood. You go there and you feel better. But it also means that you're sort of at the power of the elements, right? Like you're under their control. The outside experience is dictating. Exactly. So if you go and you're in a bad mood and you go to a milonga and it's really bad and it's like bad dancers and the music is crappy, then you're even in a more terrible mood, and then you're like, I just wasted my money and I should be home, right? Like it's possible that you end up not knowing whether you want to go out or not because it's so variable. Whereas what you're talking about is that any milonga that you go to, you can basically dictate to yourself what kind of time you're going to have, right? Like you do have some level of intention or power to create what you experience at the milonga.
Pretty much, yes. It's very much subjective experience of, as we said, the whole map of the day or map of the week to that moment, and whatever we're projecting at that time, right? What is the state that's going to be? If we're enjoying the music, if we're enjoying the DJ, if we're enjoying the dancers, if we're enjoying the floor. So all those little things can start adding up.
I wanted to connect it to the concept of, deciding what you want, right? If the Capaseo is the dance already, that in the Capaseo itself, like we're acting out what we want, right? Like what we're articulating to ourselves, what we want. And I think for a lot of followers that I've been talking to, it's been a dramatic revelation or radical thought, this idea that they have power in the Capaseo game, that they can initiate it, that they can move around the room and, find ways to connect with people for the possible later Capaseo off the dance floor, like initiate some chatting, get to know people, like that. Those are all social strategies that are available.
Absolutely.
And I see them all as part of the Capaseo. Even if I just, we go outside for a smoke and I end up talking to someone new, that to me is already part of the Capaseo because I'm getting to know them and possibly will end up dancing.
Connection, yes.
And, so this idea of really using the Capaseo as part of that practice actively, right? Like that state of mind that you're saying, like knowing what you want. What I've learned about it, it's not just about deciding in your head about what you want. It's like you have to act towards that. You have to act like you're going to go for it, right? So for a lot of followers, there's a lot of desire to get dances, but then they will be bound by this traditional view of like, okay, I'm just going to sit and wait for somebody to come Capaseo me.
Exactly.
I'm going to sit in the same space every night, and I'm going to wait to be invited. And surprisingly, there's still that advice circling around online when somebody will post some sort of like Capaseo rules or Milonga rules etiquette. There will be a mention that the follower is supposed to just sit in one place and wait. But yeah, I just it connected for me to that very practical aspect of, it's not just about like, oh, I know what I want in my head, right? It's like you have to actually move towards that, towards having what you want. So if you want to dance with somebody, it's like you have to look for opportunities to connect with them. Nice. And I'm guilty of not doing that. There was actually a person I wanted to dance with at the marathon that we were at, and I couldn't reconcile my conflict inside myself because I wanted to dance with them, but I was too chicken to let them know that I wanted to dance with them and convinced that I'm not going to get a dance, but I'm not even going to try. But then I'm tracking who they're dancing with the rest of the night. And like, well, that other person got the dance, so maybe I could too. And then I'm too chicken, that state of not being clear with yourself about like, what is it that you want and just going for it. Yeah. And instead I was just like caught in this limbo of like, I can't really enjoy myself fully with the dancers that I'm with because I'm like strategizing about this other person or like I'm noticing that they're there. It's very distracting. And I'm sure you never deal with anything like that. I'm sure you're very much... Everybody. You're probably like just very good at focusing with one person.
I do my best. But what you were saying about, I like that part you said about the ladies sitting down and being a little passive. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy the variety again that tango brings, and of course we have so many different settings that is there. Maybe there was more traditional settings, cachirulo style, that people would sit apart from each other. Maybe that would make more sense for, I don't know, ladies to be stationary and guys floating around. I don't know. I've never been there. I've never participated in one. I would like to at some point. It would be amazing. But I also really enjoy the progression, the evolution of the dance, the way it was in the past, how it was being practiced, and how it's evolving to the future. I think cabeceo is completely equal opportunity for any
equal opportunity
for participants of it.
Yeah,
and it works exactly the same for the guys as it works exactly the same for ladies. You look at the person you want to dance with. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And if the same person wants to dance with you, that's a match.
Right.
There's no trick to it. People keep saying that they're bad at cabeceo. No, it's just you might be unlucky that nobody wants to dance with you, but I doubt it. There's somebody that wants to dance with you, and if you choose not to dance with them, then yeah, you chose not to dance with someone, so you sit out.
So I think this connects very nicely to what I was asking you at the beginning of, like, what does it take to dance with someone like you? And it seems the answer is cabeceo. Just cabeceo you, like, look at you.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's this. I think it's the same thing for everybody. And
yeah. I mean, it is that simple. And when people ask me about tango, and the other day someone from outside of tango asked me, how do people get invited to dance in tango? And I've described it before, and this time I said, it's all about, like, you sit across from somebody from far away, you look at them, they look at you, and they have to nod. And if they nod, it's a yes, and if they look away, it's not. And as I'm describing this, her eyes just got really big. And then I said, yeah, and in that space between when you look at that person and they look back at you, that space right there is the pregnant drama space of everything, right? That little moment of, like, oh, is it going to be a yes or a no? And it's a very dynamic and very challenging place to be. But ultimately, like, it's true. What does it take to dance within the context of tango? It's this skill of looking at somebody in the eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think exactly what you're saying, the skill of looking at them and let them know, notifying them of your intention in a way that they can silently get out of it.
Yeah.
I like that, and of course has so much variety to it that you can get as forceful, as close as possible. You can get as far as unnoticeable, that makes it you don't know in the end if they noticed you or not. So there's all the way in between that you can play to see if somebody wants to dance with you.
Yeah, and for some reason I'm reminded of you sharing that sometimes followers get disappointed when you get up and they realize you're really tall. Does that happen a lot?
I mean, it happens here and there, especially if I'm dancing somewhere that I find somebody that they don't know me, they haven't seen me, or I haven't seen them for sure. So yeah, I might be sitting at the table, they might be sitting at the table. Cabeceo, and I also don't know about their height, right?
Right. And so do you then continue and still dance?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. But a lot of times you can see the disappointment, and I get close and it's like, oh, you're so tall.
I'm sure that they change their minds after this.
Usually it's fine.
Yeah.